In today's episode, we explore a rugged build by Rough Style featuring a traditional Japanese-inspired cabin. The location sits deep within the hills, where the elevation keeps temperatures cooler than nearby valleys, and the forest is thick with vegetation and insects. The first task involves marking and defining the cabin's position within the wooded area. Rather than digging deeply into the soil, the builder focuses on lightly trimming and leveling the ground surface. This choice is both practical and environmentally conscious, because deep excavation in root-packed mountain soil is extremely challenging. After preparing the site and setting up a temporary base system, construction proceeds to assembling the wall framework. The process starts with building a raised wooden floor platform supported by perimeter beams and interior supports. Elevating the floor protects the structure from ground moisture, encourages ventilation underneath, and helps prevent decay over time. Next, the wall structure follows a typical light frame building approach, but with careful simplicity. Upright studs are spaced evenly so that exterior panels can later be attached with ease. However, the design deliberately minimizes extra brackets, metal fittings, and unnecessary structural pieces. As mentioned earlier, the aim of the entire build is not to overbuild, but to achieve only what is structurally necessary. Every stud is secured with screws instead of nails to allow easier disassembly later. Door and window spaces are framed directly into the wall structure, so loads can transfer properly around those openings. Planning these openings early helps reduce wasted material and prevents weakening the frame afterward. The roof stage begins with installing rafters and forming the ridge line. The intention is to create a straightforward sloped roof that is simple to build while effectively shedding rainwater. In wooded mountain settings, a pitched roof works best because it channels water away quickly and prevents long-term leakage. Once the rafters are fixed in position, the roof frame begins forming strong, triangular structural stability. Even before any exterior panels are attached, the sloped roof shape already adds greater stiffness than upright wall frames alone. After finishing the frame, the builder adds approximately 12 millimeters thick OSB panels across the roof, forming a continuous structural surface. This layer first serves as a strong base for the roofing sheets, spreading concentrated loads across several rafters. It also works as a reinforcement layer, helping the structure resist twisting or shifting forces. Rough Style chooses 𝐬𝐿 Classic sheets, which are corrugated roofing panels made from bitumen material. These panels are valued for being lightweight, simple to install, and affordable, matching the practical limits of the project. The installation process focuses heavily on proper overlap and secure fastening patterns. Corrugated roofing gains strength from its wave shape, but careful screwing is required to prevent wind uplift. Next, OSB wall boards are installed, cut directly at the site and attached to the outer face of the frame. Until this stage, the building mostly relies on vertical support paths and the stabilizing effect of the roof. Adding OSB to the walls introduces diaphragm strength, allowing the walls themselves to resist sideways forces. Instead of complicated bracing systems, the structure gains rigidity through the continuous panel surface. Using OSB is also a practical decision because it is inexpensive, widely available, structurally dependable, and easy to work with. In wooded locations, humidity levels often change, and materials are frequently exposed during construction. Once the outer OSB layer is finished, a breathable protective membrane is applied over the exterior walls. This barrier allows internal moisture vapor to escape while blocking rainwater from entering. Without such protection, trapped moisture could damage the OSB and weaken the building. The membrane therefore forms a regulated boundary between the dry interior and the wet outdoor environment. At this stage, the cabin can already handle basic structural loads and weather exposure, though it still needs protection from impacts. All these choices are carefully made to suit the conditions of a damp forest setting in Japan. Before the exterior covering begins, the openings for windows and doors are carefully finished and shaped. The protective membrane is trimmed and folded neatly into each opening to keep the barrier continuous at critical edges. This preparation allows windows, doors, and shutters to be installed later without putting stress on the surrounding frame. For the outer surface, charred cedar planks are mounted horizontally using a tongue and groove arrangement. The selection of this material is influenced by cost, accessibility, and traditional building practices. These boards are thin but fairly wide, which would usually suggest installing them as part of a ventilated rain screen system. However, the builder intentionally chooses a different method because the charring process slightly weakens the boards. Mounting them on battens could therefore introduce extra movement and increase the chance of warping. Since the cabin is expected to stand only a few years and will receive occasional maintenance. The boards are secured directly through the moisture barrier and into the frame beneath. Afterward, the windows are handcrafted as compact frame structures designed to hold the glass firmly while remaining stable. Straight pieces of timber are cut and joined precisely at the corners to keep the frame perfectly square. A shallow groove is carved along the inside edge so the glass can rest securely in position. This groove prevents the pane from slipping and spreads pressure evenly through the wooden frame. The glass must rest along its entire edge and include a cushioning layer to avoid cracking from stress. Finally, a sealant is applied to block moisture from creeping into the wood while remaining flexible for seasonal movement. At this stage, durability is considered carefully, since handmade windows depend heavily on proper sealing and protection. After the window frames with glass are finished, they are fitted into the wall openings and adjusted until perfectly straight. The construction of the deck begins once the cabin shell is fully enclosed, and this stage serves purposes beyond appearance or comfort. In this woodland environment, the deck functions as a bridge between the raised cabin and the damp, irregular forest floor. Work begins again at ground level by laying a weed-blocking fabric under the future deck area. A layer of crushed gravel is then poured across the surface to improve drainage. Concrete paving blocks are placed strategically over the gravel to act as simple dry foundations. The supporting deck frame is assembled from stained structural lumber, carefully positioned to match the cabin's height and layout. A level tool is used repeatedly while securing the beams to make sure the deck surface remains even. Metal brackets and screws are used instead of nails, continuing the idea that the structure should be easy to disassemble later. Once the base frame is finished, the decking planks are measured, trimmed, and installed. Most cuts are performed directly on site to ensure accurate fitting around corners and support posts. Small gaps are intentionally left between boards so rainwater can drain away easily. This spacing once again helps prevent moisture buildup and reduces the chances of wood decay or distortion. Each board is fastened from the top with visible screws rather than concealed systems. Although this method appears simpler and less polished, it suits the project's rugged character and focuses on practicality. Unlike windows, which mainly control light and ventilation, the door determines whether the cabin can truly be lived in. It is the feature that changes the building from a daytime refuge into a secure place suitable for overnight stays. From a structural standpoint, the door must withstand repeated use, shifting with dimensions and occasional impacts. As shown here, it is handcrafted using 𝐃𝐨 boards, a common Japanese material used in shop interiors and furniture. The boards are placed side by side, glued together, and reinforced with screws driven from the back. Strong steel hinges are attached directly to the structural framing rather than the outer cladding. This method ensures that the force of opening and closing transfers into the main structure instead of the outer wall layer. Rather than using simple external locks, Rough Style installs a keyed doorknob with a built-in locking mechanism. Fitting the knob requires drilling precise holes through the thick laminated wood panel. Finally, the slot for the latch is carved carefully with a chisel, creating a snug fit that prevents noise and unwanted air gaps. With the main cabin shelf finished, the builder extends the project beyond the basic shelter. Adding a fire pit will turn the cabin area into a complete weekend retreat for outdoor living. The fire pit construction starts by creatively reusing a large steel wheel rim as the main combustion chamber. Using an angle grinder, the rim is trimmed and smoothed to remove unnecessary sections and sharp edges. This preparation is important because steel exposed to repeated heating and cooling cycles must have smooth surfaces. Sharp burrs or stress points could otherwise cause cracking or distortion when the metal expands. Additionally, steel components are originally designed to handle heavy pressure. Its circular form also helps distribute heat evenly, reducing the risk of concentrated stress at corners. After preparing the metal piece, attention shifts to preparing the ground area. Instead of creating a full concrete base, a shallow round pit is dug into the soil. However, standing water beneath the fire area could cause muddy conditions, steam pressure during heating, or frost movement in colder climates. To prevent these issues, crushed gravel is poured into the excavated space to create a draining foundation. Once the gravel layer is leveled, the steel rim is placed in the center as the fire chamber, and the outer boundary begins to take shape. Curved prefabricated stone pieces are arranged around it, imitating traditional masonry while simplifying construction. Rather than forming a permanent mortar wall, the fire pit is assembled in a way that allows future disassembly if needed. Even though the builder avoids full concrete structures, a thin layer of cement is applied around the outer edge for added stability. Next, instead of purchasing manufactured furniture, the builder begins crafting pieces from raw wood. This approach keeps the materials consistent between the cabin, the deck, and the everyday items used in the area. The process starts by placing thick wooden boards side by side and aligning them carefully. A thick layer of adhesive is spread smoothly across the boards so the separate planks fuse into one solid panel. After the glue hardens, the bonded slabs are cut and squared off, turning them into clean pieces ready for shaping. For the tabletop, a perfect circle is measured and outlined carefully on the wooden slab to keep the form balanced. The support structure for the table is assembled separately, using heavy beams arranged in a cross-leg pattern. Every connection point is marked and cut precisely so the intersecting pieces fit tightly and share the load evenly. This structure keeps the table steady while maintaining a simple design that looks solid without seeming bulky. Next, sanding equipment is used to refine the round tabletop, smoothing the surface and softening the edges for durability. Careful edge shaping is important because sharp corners could easily chip after repeated use. The tabletop then undergoes gradual sanding stages to eliminate marks and level the wood grain. A wood stain is applied afterward, enriching the grain pattern and matching the darker shades of the surrounding deck. The stain is spread evenly to soak into the timber without leaving blotches or uneven color. In addition to the table, a collapsible wooden chair is crafted using similar construction methods. Once the table and chair are set on the deck, the area shifts from a work zone into a comfortable living space. Inside the cabin, attention turns to installing vertical wooden wall panels between the framing studs. Instead of covering the entire wall at once, the builder proceeds step by step. He places solid planks only in selected sections where added strength or future mounting points will be required. One of the key tasks during this stage is constructing a long, built-in indoor bench or working surface. Unlike loose furniture, this feature becomes a permanent part of the wall structure. After cutting the pieces, the bench parts are carried inside and positioned carefully along the line of studs. Support cleats are then fastened into the framing to form a continuous ledge for the bench to rest on. Above the bench area, a long shelf is installed along the wall. This shelf is anchored straight into the studs, so its weight transfers directly to the structural frame. Outside the cabin, attention shifts to improving the surroundings by building steps for easier access. Rough Style collects fallen tree trunks and branches, using the forest's own leftover wood for the project. Each step is made by laying horizontal logs as small retaining beams, secured by short stakes driven into the ground. Now that the cabin is complete, the builder's minimalist vision becomes very clear. Nothing in the design is intended for luxury, permanence, or dramatic architectural display. Instead, the entire build follows a simple philosophy of creating only what is truly needed. The cabin does not try to overpower the environment, but rests quietly within it, shaped by the conditions of the surrounding forest.